On my screen, as you can see, the network topology, very simple topology that we have taken to configure IKEv2 using certificate. On the left-hand side, we have the Fortigate Firewall with two interfaces, port 1 and port 2. And on the other end, we have the pfSense Firewall with port 1 and port 2. And if we check the port 1 is configured with an IP of 192.168.0.108 on Fortigate Firewall. And the internal protected network is 14.140.40.108/32. Similarly, on the other end, which is the pfSense Firewall, the port 1 is configured with an IP of 192.168.0.129. And port 2 is configured with an IP of 14.140.40.129/32. These are the IKE peers, IKE version 2 peers, tunnel peers. And our intention is to establish the communication between these two hosts through the IPsec IKE version 2 cert-based tunnel. Let's get started with the actual configuration. Let me quickly show you the GUI. This is the Fortigate Firewall, and you can see that port 2 is configured with 14.140.40.108/32. And port 1, 192.168.0.108/24. So first thing, we'll have to import all the required certificate. I already have those imported. For example, CA IPsec is the local certificate authority, and the FG is the certificate signed by the local certificate authority. And the remote certificate here is CA_cert_1, which is the pfSense firewall certificate. If you do not have it, you can import the same by clicking on CA cert for local cert and remote cert for the remote CA cert. For example, let me quickly show you CA certificate. Click on that, click on the file, click on upload. And you can see here, I already have CA cert and the Fortigate cert for the local firewall identification, and the remote firewall is signed by this particular CA, which is squid-proxy.crt. So since I already have them imported here, I do not have to import it again. And for this particular cert-based VPN, you would only require the remote CA cert, not the actual server cert. Now moving to our VPN configuration, click on VPN IPsec tunnel. Try to create a VPN tunnel. We'll name it as cert IPsec. And we'll click on custom. And in the remote IP, we can configure 192.168.0.129. And the interface local on the system is port 1. NAT traversal in IKE version 2 is inbuilt, but then you can always leave this configuration just like that for NAT traversal. And in the IKE init packet, you will see NAT detection source IP, NAT detection destination IP, which is nothing but the SHA-1 computation of the source IP port and the SPI values in the order in which it appears on the packet. And after this particular configuration for the network, coming down to authentication part, instead of pre-shared key, we can click on signatures. For the local certificate, this is the local certificate. Click on plus sign. and select the FG cert, which is our local cert signed by this particular CA-IPsec. Coming down to the IKE version, select version 2, accept type, peer certificate, and then you'll have to select the peer certificate. This is the profile that we'll have to create here. Click on create, and I'm going to name it as PF. And I'm going to call the CA as that we have imported. This is the root CA remote cert that is configured on the pfSense firewall. For example, if you go to pfSense firewall, if you go to cert manager, this is the cert that we have imported. Common name is squid-proxy. And make sure you do not update the subject incorrectly, otherwise you will end up in the validation failure for the certificate. So I'm keeping it blank, and I'm just adding the CA cert here. Click OK. So now you can select this. This is the profile that we have created for the peer certificate. This is having the remote CA added. And the proposal is coming to our remote end. We can verify the proposals here. You can see AES256, SHA-256, group 2. And I believe the lifetime is 86400. So group 2, AES256, SHA-256. No need of the local ID here, because the local ID will be in ASN.1 standard distinguished name from the certificate. So phase 1 proposal is done. Moving down to our phase 2 configuration. If you check on the remote end, we have mentioned the local subnet as /32 14.140.40.129 and remote as 14.140.40.108/32. So we'll have to match this here. Click on IP address. Local is 108, remote is 129. Click on advanced settings and select the appropriate proposal. Moving to the configuration on remote end, you can see ESP, AES256, SHA-256, and the lifetime there configured 43200. PFS is not configured there. AES256, SHA-256. PFS is not configured. 43200 is the lifetime there. And this particular lifetime is not shared, not exhibited in the IKEnet packet, in the proposals, because these are locally configured value in IKE version 2. Click OK. Now we have the VPN tunnel configured. Let's move on to the route configuration. Click on static route, create a route pointing to the IPsec tunnel. This is the remote IP. And the interface is going to be cert IPsec. Click OK. So now we have the route and the IPsec configured. Let's move on to the firewall policy. We'll have to create the policy to allow the incoming and outgoing IPsec traffic. Let me name it as IPsec in. And I'm going to select the incoming interface as IPsec, cert IPsec. Outgoing as port 2, because port 2 is configured with an IP of 14.140.40.108/32, as you can see on my screen. Source is going to be all for time being. Destination is going to be all for time being, and the services are going to be all ICMP. Let's try to click OK. So now we have the policy in place for the incoming traffic. Let's try to copy it in and let's try to clone this in reverse direction. Now let's try to enable this particular policy for outgoing traffic. Now we have everything in place to establish the IKEv2 cert-based tunnel. Let's try to initiate some traffic from the remote end. Click on status, go to IPsec. Okay, it is already up as you can see. Local identity, you can see here proxy.summit.com. Remote is canonical name 192.168.0.108. We can check the status on the Fortigate Firewall as well. So this is the phase 1. As you can see, the peer IP is here 192.168.0.108. Remote is 192.168.0.129. Created 61 seconds ago. Canonical name, you can see proxy.summit.com, which is the peer CN. Certificate authority, peer ID auth, yes. And the required keys for the encryption and authentication. And the lifetime here is 86400. Peer ID, you can see. Let's try to check the status of phase 2. So this is phase 2. You can see the protected subnet or the address 14.140.40.108, 14.140.40.129. You can check the proposals. You can check the lifetime. And the decryption key, encryption key, incoming SPI, outgoing SPI. Packets, you can see 0. Encrypted packet 0, decrypted packet 0, because we do not have any traffic as such. Let's try to initiate some traffic and see if it is hitting the SA or not. Now let's try to initiate some traffic to the remote IP 14.140.40.129. And you can see I'm able to ping. Let's try to initiate some ping from the pfSense firewall. And you can see that I'm able to ping. Let's try to check the SA information for the incoming and outgoing packet. Well, you can see here the packet count is increasing. And if I stop the ping, it should stop incrementing. So which actually suggests that the traffic is actually hitting the IPsec tunnel. You can see here. You can check the status here as well. So this is the status of the IPsec tunnel on the remote end. You can see the number of packets in, packets out. That's all in this video. If you have any questions, to leave them in the comment section. And please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. See you in the next video.